Here's the big picture, and then I'm getting into the news. In their own words, the globalists see humanity as a wild, out of control, ugly, deformed scourge of 7.5 billion people that must be controlled, engineered, and prepared to be phased out because the new technologies are coming and the elite are going to live in this Elysium-type, heavenly Moonraker meets Zardoz world. And again, I know our listeners know that, but we have to get the message of End Game, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, that is already a 7-year-old film, out to everyone. Because that documentary is even more powerful now and freaks people out when they learn it was made in 2007, because just what we said would happen within that time frame happened in the film, and then we go further in the film and tell you what's going to come after that. Because the globalists have a blueprint, and they just tell the unwashed masses that nothing exists. Fluoride's good for you. There's nothing bad in the vaccines. No one's listening to you. No one's tracking you. I love you. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you. To quote Idiocracy. The public is being stunned and dumbed down in preparation because the elite openly are moving, and that's why they're collapsing the border, because they have treaties, they have secret agreements, much of them public, and just as General Petraeus said in the London Telegraph last Wednesday, we covered it here, they said, what comes after America? In a public symposium. And he said, North America. And that means North America, not where a Mexico evolves and becomes a freer state and Canada does, and with high tech it just becomes we're all open. No. We become a giant Mexico City. We become a giant failed system forced into compact cities while the elites live in high-tech reservations in the beautiful countryside. That's their model, with ground-based Elysiums. It's all being thrown in your face with predictive programming. And this is the debate we should be having. And now they're moving on every front. I've told you over and over again, as we come towards this flashpoint, you're going to start seeing major proxy wars, major dollar devaluation, major global currency devaluations, building on the crisis while the globalists ride the crises they've helped create and exacerbate into global governance, world taxes, world regulations on the ashes of what was there. And you'll still have euros, you'll still have dollars, you'll still have yens, you'll still have yans. They'll be all globally based in an SDR, strategic drawing right based system that the globalists control and, most importantly, tax. They don't just want the power to issue and control the currency and be able to buy the world up with it. It's a magic trick, like an unlimited credit card. The Federal Reserve, which is the European bank front here in the United States, the Rothschild bank front on record, has an unlimited credit card, but it's even better. They get all the goods and all the ideas and all the treasure and all the real estate and all the treasure hoards and all the art. You get the debt. When you bank or bail out them, you suddenly are their debtor in Spain or the United States. That's why there's now in the Fed rallies all over Europe where they call it in the Fed. They call their private banks the Fed, knowing it's the same octopus. You can read that article up on Infowars.com. Giant ones everywhere. People in Europe know because they're in the Depression. In Spain and Portugal and Greece and Ireland and everywhere else. They now know, ladies and gentlemen. And so as all of this unfolds, as all of these crises accelerate, the globalists are setting up the police state to try to suppress the public, but that's not going to work if the public looks past Obama, past Boehner, past Cameron, past Merkel, past all of these puppets to the globalists that, of course, they want to meet in secret. Of course, they don't want you to know what they're up to and doing. And just say, there is no global government. There is no man behind the curtain. Move along. These aren't the droids you're looking for, because then that forces a debate and it's game over. Everything is in this article. If you understand this headline, you understand reality. And see, I'm suddenly seeing newspapers everywhere, even the New York Times, even the Wall Street Journal, go, did you know that the DEA creates fake cases and fake witnesses because they're really listening to everything in live time? And when they bust drug dealers, they don't want the public to know they're in the NSA. And so they then create a fake case for the indictment. But they don't even want to do that now. They're just getting the federal courts to rule they can listen without warrants to everybody. See? But the bigger story is the sheeple say, well, you know, they're doing that to keep us safe from drugs. No, 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 no. They only bust the cowboys, the small level operators. The whole system is, again, to create monopolies and markets. So the globalists control the issuance of the currency and credit, but more importantly, with the new global SDR, they want $100 trillion in taxes per decade in one Tobin digital money use transfer. Once they make you go cashless, like Israel and England have both announced they're forcing cashless phased in within 5 years, they're penalizing cash, billboards saying it's dirty and bad. Why are they getting rid of it? Because they don't need cash for black market anymore because they'll just digitally ignore their black market. They want to shut you down and track everything you do and be able to raise taxes at levels to where you can't stop anything they're doing. Go read the article on Infowars.com. UK begins beta testing cashless society. That's why the ultimate sin will be selling oranges or watermelons on the side of the road or corn. The ultimate sin will be buying cheese from Amish. The ultimate sin will be a lemonade stand. As the media says, we're talking arrest. You don't do it because they're going to shut everything down. You've seen beef prices more than double. You've seen overall meat prices up 40+% in the last year. You go into a diner, it used to be $10 to eat, it's 20 now. You know why? They're devaluing the dollar and they're shutting down the farms and ranches everywhere. You can't do business. You can't survive. It's all rigged. Beef prices are record cost. You'd think ranchers would be rich. It's all rigged with the computers. There aren't real auctions anymore. I had a stack of news on that yesterday. We guys pull out the stack where the World Bank sounds alarm on sharp rise in global food prices, AFP. What does that mean? It means there'll be riots, there'll be revolution, with the globalists controlling and steering the social networks to shut down the revolutions they don't want and to push the communist and socialist ones they do, which get people deeper into the trap. Consumer price rise sharply in May. The Fed say it jumped 0.4 after rising 0.3 in April. Does anyone believe it only went up 0.4 in a month and 0.3 before that? Does anyone believe in the last year it went up 2.1%? Food prices, ladies and gentlemen, are exploding. And again, the media is like, it's good you're poor now. It lowers your carbon footprint. It's good all this is happening. It's good everybody can't, has to carpool or can't afford to go to the park anymore. But they built us in sprawl where we won't survive now as they turn us off. It's designed to destroy us, not to make us more efficient. That's why Petraeus, said, it's good that we're bringing in all these illegals. We need a bigger population because you kill 53 million Americans with abortion. So you replace them with unskilled women with 3 or 4 kids or people with diseases? No, they're meant to be attached as welfare queens to then become part of the new political class to bankrupt the country. We have the documents, not just Cloward and Piven, but Agenda 21. But see, when he goes and talks to a group of sub-globalists, the political right wing in England, Petraeus says, North American Union's the future, and we need immigrants to build us up. Yeah, immigrants we do need, but not to be put directly on the government trough to bankrupt things further. Central American migrants are on a word-of-mouth exodus to the U.S. Word of mouth, Biden just said they're going to legalize yesterday and give citizenship as DREAM Act to all the kids. Who begin? Children of the state. Women. You run into trendy women, and they're just literally, I don't need men. I don't like men. I'm going to be successful. Defeating men makes me successful. Oh, yes. What a way to run a society. They just told black women 50 years ago, we'll give you a check if there's no man in the house. She didn't like it, but she did it. Now the women are like, there's no man here. That's right, there'll be no man there, and he won't have you either when you're 65 years old and they're euthanizing your butt. And now single mothers are turning to online prostitution, as that's the only way they can make money. In fact, all these government state employees getting laid off, that's what they're turning to. You see, oh, wasn't it all a great plan they had? Isolating us, making us artificial narcissists, artificial sociopaths, breaking us down. And so now they're going to move. You're about to see globally, in fact, you're beginning to see it, the proxy wars in Russia, the proxy wars in Europe, the proxy wars in East Asia, the proxy wars in South Asia, the proxy wars in the Middle East, the proxy wars in Africa, and the public is so dumbed down that Dick Cheney and Dianne Feinstein and all the usual suspects can say, see, we do need checkpoints and Homeland Security and increased funding, and we need to continue all these programs that take your rights because Al-Qaeda is everywhere. And Cheney went on to say there's a whole bunch of groups worse than ISIS. Don't worry about Iraq. Don't blame him for that. No. There's all these new groups. Yeah, out of Saudi Arabia, funded by our government, NATO, the door open. Of course, Obama's in the news today saying there's no amount of American firepower that's going to be able to hold the country together. Obama takes another step back from military action. People say, oh, he mismanaged. Oh, he let the Al-Qaeda group, that they changed the name to ISIS. I mean, it's still Al-Qaeda flags, but, oh, Al-Qaeda's not a problem. The Tea Party's the main enemy. And ISIS isn't a big deal either because, you know, they have a new name. And only Rand Paul has the courage to come out and say, no, our government helped create ISIS. We're going to play a clip of that coming up. But that's the issue here. You see, it's so sensational that they're putting cancer viruses in the vaccine. Just type in polio vaccine cancer virus. And then you look at the new vaccines, they keep finding them in there that just so happen to be extremely virulent and just so happen to be time released because it's all designed that way. They estimate 100 million Americans died from cancers related to the polio vaccine. On purpose, by the way, boys and girls. Continuing, ladies and gentlemen, again, I just keep throwing that out there. Remember who we're under. Remember what happened, we now learn, a few decades ago in Ireland with thousands of children given experimental vaccines that were actually kill shots to kill them, violent deaths, and then throw them into a giant septic tank to rot. Oh, we have good guys running things. No, we don't. And they can run Al-Qaeda publicly and turn Iraq over to it and then act like they didn't fund them and arm them in Syria. And our media can say, time for the prime minister of Iraq to step down. Openly, our government using Al-Qaeda as a proxy army, they can get away with anything. And they'll get away with nuking a major U.S. city down the road. I predict that they may do that it's in the cards. I predict they're contemplating it. I predicted they would start saying their biggest fear was a nuke going off in Manhattan. And Obama came out in March and said just that. Didn't even say who he thought would do it, because that's how they take full control. If you're the globalists that want to conquer America, how do you do it? You stage a giant horrible attack, claim the Tea Party's working with Al-Qaeda. Told you that was coming years ago. Now they say the Tea Party works with Al-Qaeda in Pentagon training drills to take over North Carolina. Forbes magazine. Now, continuing here, ladies and gentlemen, we have Dianne Feinstein saying we're going to be killed and that there will be people to disrupt a plot in this country. So we need her. We need her to save us from the terrorists they publicly run. So let's go ahead first and go to Dick Cheney saying another 9/11 is coming, but far deadlier. And I agree, far deadlier, because the people that control him, he's just their little emissary, the mouth of Sauron. The mouth of Sauron is telling you, you better be afraid. And subconsciously, we know the threat's real because we know who's behind it. Let's go to it.
If we spend our time debating what happened 11 or 12 years ago, we're going to miss the threat that is growing and that we do face. One of the things I'm worried about is that there will be another 9/11 attack, and that the next time it'll be with weapons far deadlier than airline tickets and box cutters.
And it will be run out of Saudi Arabia publicly, and groups publicly armed by our criminal government. And I'll be called a traitor on air, even though I'll have 100 clips plus of me saying exactly that before it happened. In fact, the day they set the nuke off, they'll probably take clips of me saying it years ago and say I said it that day. They've done that before. And let me tell you something. When they set the nuke off, folks, they will probably assassinate me, Rand Paul, Ron Paul, and others hours before. In fact, that's the only balloon you're going to get. The only warning will be they'll wipe out the Liberty leaders, a couple hundred of us, hit teams in 1 hour. And once we're gone, so we can't sit here and warn you, they will detonate a nuclear weapon or they'll release a biological weapon and all hell, or maybe both. Remember, I predicted the anthrax shot on 9/11, the anthrax breakout. Let's go to the next clip. Let's go to Obama from March talking about the nuke. Here it is.
The number one national security threat to the United States. I continue to be much more concerned when it comes to our security with the prospect of a nuclear weapon going off in Manhattan.
Okay, let's now go to another clip. We've got Dianne Feinstein as well. We've got a couple clips here. But next up is Rubio, Senator Rubio, on al-Qaeda in Iraq. History is trying to repeat itself. Here's that clip.
Well, if you look at what happened before 9/11, the reason why al-Qaeda was able to carry out the 9/11 attacks is because they had a safe operating space in Afghanistan.
No, they had
that
Saudi
the
Arabia.
Taliban had given them.
And US
now
bases.
history is trying to repeat itself here. ISIS is trying to establish the exact same thing in the Iraq-Syria region that they're increasingly controlling.
Look at that little talking head puppet. And again, George Lucas in Revenge of the Sith tells you the whole plan. The Emperor is running the terrorists that are attacking the planets. And he uses that to set up a police state to then wipe out the Jedi, then wipe out the rebels and totally take over. And that's what they're doing with this. So for anybody that doesn't understand this, so I've had reporters here 50 times probably say, we don't understand false flag. How's it work? It's real simple. You take over by running an outside threat, al-Qaeda. And the reward to Saudi Arabia is turning over the whole Middle East to them. Don't people understand that? Alex Jones here, back live, broadcasting worldwide. We're going to have reporters the last 30 minutes from the border bridge where the Border Patrol guards the bridge to allow the illegals to come across and only tries to stop media. They've done it to Breitbart and others. We've had it done to us. We're going to be live there on the Texas-Mexico border. And we've got other reports that they filed last night that we're going to be airing as well. Now, remember, with the backdrop of nuclear weapons detonating, give up all your rights, Obama and Cheney, Feinstein, we've got to disrupt the terror plots. Oh, my gosh, I'm a hero. I'm Dianne Feinstein. Turn your guns in. I love you, but I've got a concealed carry. We're good people. Take your shots. Drink your fluoride. We love you. GMO's good for you. Drink some Roundup. It'll help you. Help you die, of course. While these scum run things and tell us give up all our rights and the TSA fans out on American highways and the Army is at public events everywhere searching people's purses just randomly to train you to be slaves, the border is wide open. So just remember that and never forget it. It's all a hoax. We've got to break with the system and let them know we know you're a total fraud. And that can happen. The Australian Prime Minister has now come out, and they are shooting down the carbon taxes. Justices have limited the EPA's shutting down our power plants here. A huge Supreme Court ruling. And there's a lot of good stuff happening because it's so outrageous to shut off all the coal power plants when they're totally clean now in Australia and the U.S. and it's hurting people with only a third of them shut down. I mean, you've seen your power prices. I mean, going bankrupt ain't fun. Your kids not having food isn't fun, is it? While all this is going on, people are getting upset. Australian Prime Minister introduces bill to repeal carbon tax, and they've got the votes to do it. And the Australians have voted out 2 prime ministers who wouldn't repeal this. I mean, folks are getting angry. They're getting focused. And let me tell you something. Rand Paul picked up on our analysis last year, and we stopped the Syria attack. And after his leadership, Senator Cruz picked it up, and others came out, and it became okay to say, hey, we're not al-Qaeda's Air Force. Obama's funding al-Qaeda. The globalists totally freaked out over that. That's why they changed the name from al-Qaeda to ISIS to confuse the sheep. That ain't working. I salute Rand Paul and his courage. I salute him. He shouldn't take too many plane rides. Let me tell you. He's the real deal, and they know it. And he's as clean as a whistle, and they know it, and they don't like it. Anything happens to him, any of these guys, they've been set up. I don't know about Cruz, but I like him. But I can vouch for Rand Paul. I've known him for 18, 19 years. Now, let's get clear here. He came out, it's a long Fox piece, it's up on Infowars.com, and he said, look, we gave them the safe haven in Syria. That's a fact, Jack. And that's the issue here. Not, oh, I'm not defending Bush or Cheney. They're all part of the same plan. Oh, was it their fault they took Saddam out? Of course that was the plan. Now Saudi Arabia will be given full control. That's their payoff for being part of 9/11 and playing along with it. Man, it's so simple. Why did Iraq get attacked? It had nothing to do with 9/11. Let's go to Rand Paul. Here's a clip.
We are where we are because we armed the Syrian rebels. We have been fighting alongside al-Qaeda, fighting alongside ISIS. ISIS is now emboldened in 2 countries. But here's the anomaly. We're with ISIS in Syria. We're on the same side of the war. So those who want to get involved to stop ISIS in Iraq are allied with ISIS in Syria.
All right, let's stop right there. And that's CNN. There was another one we've got of him on Fox. He's on there with Candy Crowley. Also a Lord of the Rings character. I bet you can guess. Cave Troll. Sorry. The point is, got to have a little humor here, gallows humor. Get rid of Assad, get rid of ISIS. It's ISIS, Al-Qaeda trying to take Assad out. You give them a whole base. You give them a whole country and high-tech weapons, including chemical weapons. That would stop them taking Iraq? No, they can't take Syria, so they're taking Iraq. This is pure bull.
Our intelligence to see that we can disrupt a plot in this country before it happens, because there will be plots to kill Americans.
That's the witch, the anti-gun monster on CNN, Communist News Network, Dianne Feinstein. And Cheney says, get ready for a bigger 9/11. Obama says he's worried about a nuke going off. They're back hyping all of it. Let's play the Obama and the Cheney again in a moment. This is what's being pushed. So the more money you spend, the more money that you put out, trillions to fight Al-Qaeda. They just changed their name to ISIS. You give them a base to attack Syria. Now they take over Iraq. Obama acts like he's against both sides, but he's letting them take over. And her answer is, we need more intelligence. We need more money. We need to spy on you. Meanwhile, the entire domestic spy grid is pointed at the Tea Party. And they're getting ready to blow stuff up and roll it out against us. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. And it's not fun to get up here and talk like this. I know it endangers me and my family. But my family's in greater danger, and so is your family, as this rotting society really gets to a new level of evil. The bottom's falling out. I mean, they got the borders wide open right now. But they're setting up internal checkpoints all over the country to train you to be a slave. I mean, this is pathetic. This is our conversion into a total police state. Do any of you want to live in this? Because it's not the old saying of, do you want your children to grow up in a society like this? No, now the issue is, ladies and gentlemen, do you want to live in this? Because the takeover is pointed at the human family itself. It's an anti-human, globalist, psychopathic agenda. Why did Ted Bundy do the things he did? Because he liked it. Why does the New World Order do the things they do? Everywhere they're in control, killing foster kids, torturing people to death, molesting children, murdering people, genetically engineering and deforming plants and animals and human life, all sorts of secret experimentation, macabre horror. I've seen New York Times articles, a couple of them, about the hottest art in New York City that sold for $20, $30 million. Isn't even Vincent van Gogh art. It's crystal skulls, crusted, crucifix in buckets of semen. I don't mean to get gross here, but and billionaires go as a tithe to these weird devil-worshipping artists, and you read the profiles. And I'll never forget, I was doing a search for Arnold Schwarzenegger gay porn so I could put it in my film, Fall of the Republic. Police State. What was the name of the film I made? I've made like 20-something. What's the big 3.5-hour long one? It's got the blimps in New York and all that. 911 Rise of the Police State. That's the name of it. Anyways, and so we're doing a gay porn search on Arnold. We did find it and put some blurred out images of it in there just to show, because he was getting ready to run for president. We wanted to have a part of the film to shoot him down. And it was him in Austria. No, it was Germany, and he traveled there just to meet with his favorite artist, who was like totally white skin, black hair, black uniform. The artist wears like an SS uniform. And I forget the artist's name. We've shown this before. And it's Arnold looking at the guy's artwork, and it's like 4-year-old girls in SS uniforms, dead, laying on beds with their legs partially spread. And then the other one is dead babies from car wrecks. And this is Arnold's favorite artwork. I mean, that's who these people are. I mean, looking at it haunts me years later, seeing what this guy's into. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, on the other side of this quick break. I'm your host, Alex Jones, Infowars.com. David Icke's coming up. Globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality. InfoWarsLife.com.